Happy Friday. It is Fulfilling Life Friday, once again, January 18th. And this, I believe, is the second Fulfilling Life Friday of the year so far, because last week's Fulfilling Life Friday was postponed. So I'm excited to be talking to you about a topic that I have been wanting to speak about for a while. And there was an incident that happened last week that kind of encouraged me to talk about this, and so I wanted to have a Fulfilling Life Friday about taking your seat at the table. So I know taking your seat at the table may mean certain things for certain people. For me, it means actually owning your role and showing up wherever you are, and not allowing people to say that you are not welcome or not fit or not skilled enough, I guess you could say, to be in a position or be in a role or be at a meeting or in a room. So that's what I mean about taking your seat at the table. But I believe that before you take your seat at the table, you should consider two things. And those two things are mindset and preparation. I know I always talk a lot about mindset. I think it's really important to develop your mindset for any situation that you face or go through. And so your ability to develop your mindset will allow you to enhance your skills, but also be a more well-rounded person and actually be the person that you are called to be. So in regards to mindset, I would say that you need to see the value in yourself. So for example, if someone says, insert your name here, we want you to attend this board meeting and we're going to be talking about these following topics. We want to get your idea on something that we're coming up with over the year, and we want to be able to bring in new ideas and perspectives. So if you don't see the value in yourself, you'll go to this meeting, or maybe you won't even reach the point of going to the meeting. Maybe you will decline because you don't see the value in yourself and because you don't see what your capabilities are, so you may decline the meeting. If you do join the meeting, then you may not be as, I guess I could say, engaged and active about what they are asking you or asking for your perspective about. So if you don't value yourself when you show up in situations where you're allowed to take your seat, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to work at the full capacity of who you're called to be because you don't see the value in yourself. Second point is self-awareness. So if you are familiar with the term self-awareness, it is basically being aware of your emotions. There's EQ, emotional IQ, that goes into emotional intelligence, that goes through that. But also self-awareness is also about being aware of how people feel around you, how they interact and react around you. So if you're self-aware, then you know those things. So when someone asks you to take a seat at the table or to join a meeting, whatever the case is, then you are aware of the body language or the way that people may react to the things that you're proposing. Third point is determining what you will accept and not accept. So mindset, I believe, has a lot to do with learning what you need to accept or want to accept and won't accept. So for example, getting to know yourself, spending that time, that alone time. I know a lot of people don't particularly care for alone time, but if you do spend that alone time getting to know yourself, then you'll be able to determine what you are willing to accept and don't accept. So for example, there is a meeting at work, and this meeting has all the managers, and you happen to be a manager too. However, someone that is your supervisor decided that they didn't want to invite you for whatever reason. So that is why it's important to determine what you accept and not accept, because if you don't determine and say, hey, I'm not going to accept that, I am now a manager and I deserve to be at this meeting, then you will continue to dismiss these types of situations, which means that you're not allowing yourself to really dwell in your full capabilities, but also you're making or sending a message saying that, I wasn't invited to this meeting, but I'm not going to attend because maybe I'm not ready or maybe I'm not prepared. So you're kind of setting a tone of weakness by not saying or speaking up and saying, that's not what I choose to accept, and bringing it to someone's attention when that happens or if it happens, to say, I noticed that there is this meeting and I noticed that I wasn't invited to this meeting. So I just want to ask you why that happened. And that's a professional way to go about it. It's easy to get offended by people and their actions, especially when you feel that you are qualified for something, or you feel that you want to be included in things. It's easy to get offensive when people choose not to include you in things. But I challenge you to, if you need to sit back and say, okay, let me go in this in a calm and peaceful manner before actually addressing it, but make sure that you address it in a professional way. Okay, so the second point or bullet I want to talk about before taking your seat at the table is preparation. So if you are, for example, in a role and it's a new role at an organization, you should prepare for that new role so that when you are, for example, at a meeting or in a group of people or a room of people at a networking event, that you are on your toes and you know the information that you have been or you have experience in. And so I can give you an example of that. So the nonprofit organization that I work for part-time, because I'm also a founder of a nonprofit organization, I started off there as an associate, and then I was able to be promoted to a manager. And so because of that, I had to, one, create a mindset to know that I'm no longer an associate, so I should no longer be assigned associate things. And when individuals try to assign associate things to me, I have to address it and inform them in a professional way that I am no longer in that role, therefore I should no longer be required to do those things. That's something I had to learn for sure. This is my first manager's role, although I'm a founder, so I guess it's similar, but I had to prepare for this new role, and I have been invited to board meetings for this organization as well as supervisors meetings, and I prepared myself for that so that if people are asking me questions or things like that, then I'm prepared for it, and I am showing that my skills are apparent, and also that I'm very confident with the skills that I have acquired and confident in my role. So another thing about that in your preparation is to, and it also goes along with mindset, is to get your mental fuel and barrier ready. So if you are someone who is susceptible or can get really offended, or you take criticism the wrong way, or you are very defensive when it comes to things, then perhaps you need to consider creating that mental barrier so that you're not being so defensive in those situations. And another thing is to build up that mental resiliency so that when someone, for example, at a meeting says, you know what, and this happened to me, someone said, oh, this number is really low compared to all the other ones. And my statement for addressing that was, I said, there's a variety of factors that go into that. It could be because of this, because of that, and we are still working on enhancing that metric so that we can move forward and help that grow. So if I was someone who was a person who got really offended easily, thank you so much for joining. If I was someone who got offended easily, then I would take offense to it. And when you take offense to things, you may have an attitude, or you may say something that you shouldn't say, or you may ignore a person, or you may, the list goes on. But you don't want to be seen as that person, because you are someone who has a mental barrier, someone who has that mindset in order to not react the way other people react. And I say that because a lot of people will be quick to react in a negative way. But since you are growing into the person that you really want to be, you're trying to be the best person that you can be, you are not getting easily offended by people's comments. You're not taking offense to things like that. You are actually considering what you say before you say them. And you're also being inclusive and being open to what people are saying and their feedback. So I think that's really important when it comes to mindset and preparation. And another thing in regards to preparation is think before you're there. So think before the opportunity of having the seat at the table. What do I mean by that? Is to prepare. So for me, I like to think of the possible questions that can be asked. And so by me doing that, that means I'm prepared to answer them when they do come up. Another thing is that maybe you have a meeting and you're going over certain things at this meeting. It's always good to do additional research about other areas that may come up that maybe you weren't thinking of, that someone else may think of. So that's what I mean about thinking before you're there. Also, I would say to prepare yourself as far as your body language, for one. Another thing being your posture. So if you're at a meeting, you have your arms crossed. Usually when you see someone, and I'm sure people can relate to this, if their arms are crossed, say for example you're at a party or a networking event, that if their arms are crossed, you may think that this person is guarded, or this person may be having a bad day, or maybe they're just not open. But if you turn that posture, for example, into sitting a little bit closer to the table, or turn that posture into sitting up straight, then it also portrays that confidence as well, which you want to portray that confidence when you're stepping into these type of roles and situations. And then another thing for preparation is you can visualize the way that you want that meeting or that situation to happen and what that result will be. So you can visualize you speaking at these events, speaking at these meetings, or you can visualize yourself actually accomplishing something and in that position and in that role. So those are those 2 points, mindset and preparation, which are essential before you take your seat at the table. Another thing I wanted to talk about finally is taking your seat at the table. So when you are actually invited to this meeting, this event, this networking event, invited to speak at whatever event that you are invited to speak at, it's important to know who you are and know that you don't need to act a certain way in order to please people around you. So for example, I've also often talked about the fact that I'm an introvert, and that when I was younger, I had the idea that I needed to shape the way I reacted in a way that was an extrovert, but knowing that I wasn't an extrovert. And so I would settle, and I would, try to push myself. Unfortunately, pushing yourself is great, but when it makes you feel like you're not being yourself, then it can really be detrimental. And so I would try to force myself to be more social instead of allowing myself to grow into being more social. And then once you're able to take your seat at the table, you'll know where you that you deserve to be there, and you'll actually show up. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you will actually be able to provide feedback, or you'll be able to actually tell people about what you're doing and promote yourself or promote your organization, and you'll actually be ready to show up and ready to be all that you are, and not feel like you need to be someone else in those situations, or not feel like you need to do something extra to show that you deserve to be there, because you will know that you deserve to be there. And then so you have been invited, so you need to realize that you are meant to be there. There have been cases where I was invited to a meeting and I said, maybe I should leave because I don't know if they want me to be exposed to the information they're discussing. Maybe they only expected me to stay for the first part of this meeting. But then I had to learn, if I was invited to the meeting, then why would I stay? So when you get your seat at the table, don't get up. Don't say and limit yourself to the point where you're getting up from your seat or you're thinking that you no longer belong there even after you've arrived. Because if you have been invited, that means you deserve to be there, and that means that you should be there and you should be confident and proud of being there. And so I wanted to provide an example finally of a situation that happened, and I had to basically say, I'm going to this meeting and I hope you're open to that. So we are planning a gala, and I'm not talking about my organization, my nonprofit. I'm talking about the organization that I work part-time for. We are planning a gala, and the person that is connected with the gala committee said that during the last portion of our check-in meeting, they said that they were having a gala committee meeting that night. And so this person said, so we're having the gala committee meeting at tonight. It starts at 5 p.m. But I know that you have a lot of things that you're going through. Your work hour ends at this time. And that's okay, because I can take notes for you. I can make sure that I give that information to you. And I know I don't want to put too much pressure on you. I don't want to do this, and that. And so I'm sitting there listening to this person, and I'm thinking, one, I think this person is trying to convince me that I shouldn't attend this meeting. And it was pretty transparent that this person did not want me to attend this meeting. Another thing is that this person also said for maybe the second or third time that they hadn't thought to invite me. Keep in mind that I was part of the gala committee last year during the time I had an associate role. Now that I have a manager's role and I am a communications manager, then why wouldn't I be invited to the gala committee? Communication is a big piece of the gala, and so that was my conflict of that was my conflict. I didn't agree with that person's decision to not invite me because they said they forgot to invite me. Now I can make an assumption about a lot of the things based on this person's character. Since I've been working for this organization, it's pretty transparent about a few things that this person feels about my role. And so I said, if I'm not going to attend this meeting, at which point would you invite me to the gala committee meetings? So this person sat there and took a few minutes to think about my question, to provide a response, and they said, you know what, I don't think I would, because communications is such a separate piece from this role the gala, and I just feel like it's just this separate thing, and so I wouldn't see you attending these meetings. And I said, well, I was a gala committee member last year, so I wouldn't understand why I wouldn't be invited to this meeting this year. Why I wouldn't be part of the committee this year? And so, long story short, I went to that gala committee meeting that night, and I was able to actually provide some insight. Most of the members are actually older than I am. I am the youngest person on the committee. I am also the only person of color. So I think that's two prongs and two pluses to me attending that meeting and showing up and speaking up and providing my insight, and providing an insight that is unique to people of color, unique to young professionals. And so that is when I took my seat at the table, and I didn't let someone's opinion of whether I should be invited keep me from sitting at the table. So that is what I want to talk about in regards to taking your seat at the table, and I hope this encourages you to develop your mindset so that when you have situations where you are able to take your seat at the table, that you can do it confidently, and to prepare yourself for those situations so that you are able to show your skills and your expertise and really show up as a person that you are confidently. And then when you take your seat at the table, then you can actually be present because you're confident, because you know the information you're speaking on, because you know that you deserve to be there, because you know that you're not going to get up from your seat because you have been invited and you are now part of that. And so I'm so happy to be able to talk about that topic of taking your seat at the table. And for any of the Fulfilling Life Fridays that you have missed, you can actually click the link in my bio and go down to YouTube, and I've uploaded pretty much all of the Fulfilling Life Fridays that I have been able to save there. On top of that, you can also go to IGTV and look at them there. And so if you ever need some additional encouragement throughout the week, you can go back and watch them, listen to them at work when you're having a challenging situation or someone is trying to get under your skin, keyword trying. And so yeah, I'm so happy to be able to come together and share this information on Fulfilling Life Friday to kind of encourage you, motivate you, and my hope is that it adds something to your life, makes you more confident, makes you more powerful being, and makes you more prepared for the person that you want to become and the leader that you are. So yeah, that is all for Fulfilling Life Friday. I usually close it off by saying that your goals are just as important as the goals that you work on during the week for someone else. So I always encourage you to try to work on your goals during the weekend, even if it's 20 minutes of your time of writing down things you want to accomplish for the upcoming week. I also usually close it out by speaking blessings over your life. So I want to start by speaking blessings over your mind and your mindset, because that was one of our main topics from today, speaking over your mindset. And then also I want to speak blessings over your finances. It's the beginning of year, and I feel like we are all entitled to have the prosperity that we all want. I also want to speak blessings over your life, your friendships, and your family. And choose those people that you are going to be in your circle or and who are going to add to your life in order to push you along and be that person who is going to encourage you along the way. And if you feel that your circle currently doesn't have those type of people, then I challenge you to consider that and consider the people and value the people who are there and really in your corner. And then finally, I just want to speak blessings over your weekend. And I know that weekends are a point of relaxation, and that's awesome. So I hope that you're able to get a restful weekend, a positive weekend, and spend some time with people that you love, work on your goals, and also take some time to take out a few moments to work on something that's going to help you enhance your skills, enhance the person that you are. For example, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there who have information. Maybe you're looking to learn new information about something that you're not familiar with, or maybe you're looking for that extra push towards the week that's coming up. So I encourage you to seek out those opportunities so that you can continue growing. I feel like it's really important to always continue evolving and growing in the process of developing yourself, in the process of each week and each month and every year. So that's all I want to say. So next Friday, I don't know what our topic is going to be, but at some point between now and next Friday, I will release that topic. And I'm hoping it's going to be as exciting as this one. I really hope you enjoyed this topic. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for catching this. And I hope that it really inspires you. I am proud of you and your goals, and I just want the best for you. God is good, and I just want to say blessings to you and your family and your weekend. Until next time.